Domain is a strategic, expandable card game where the players command fantasy civilizations at war with one another. Each player takes turns building up their armies and resources while trying to launch attacks against their opponent's territory and defend their own territory from attack. Victory is achieved by taking out all of your opponent's territory. Cards in Domain are broken down into the following types. Units. Units are your main means of defending your territory and mounting attacks on your opponent. All units have numbers on the left that indicate their strength and size. Strength is the amount of damage a unit inflicts in combat, while size indicates how much damage will destroy that unit. Units can be used to attack another player's territories and also to block attacking units. Many of them also have abilities that affect gameplay in different ways. On the first turn that a unit enters the field, it is considered mobilizing, which means that it can't do anything that would require it to expend until your next turn, such as attacking. Territories. A territory represents lands and structures that you control. In order to stay in the game, you must control at least one territory, so they make up an important part of the game. Like units, territories also have strength and size, which function the same way. They can also be attacked and destroyed by opposing units, so you'll need to protect any territories that have important abilities. Each player starts the game with 5 face-down cards, which count as 0-2 territories. When one of these face-down territories is destroyed, that card is added to its owner's hand instead of being scrapped. Artifacts. Artifacts are the weapons, equipment, technology, and magic items of your civilization. When you play an artifact, it goes onto the field where it may provide bonuses or have abilities that you can activate. Some artifacts can be attached to units or territories to give them bonuses. Unless otherwise stated, an attached artifact always stays on the field, even if the card it was attached to gets destroyed. If it can be attached with an activated ability, you can also move it from one card to another with that ability. Spells. Spells are the rituals and magic effects that your wizards can conjure up. Spells can have a wide variety of effects, but unlike other card types, their effects happen right away, then they're scrapped. Some spells might also attach to a card on the field, in which case they stay there until that card leaves the field. Resources. Resources generate supplies which are needed to play your other cards. Any card can be turned into a resource by playing it upside down, so the text of the resource mode is right side up. Normally, you can only play one resource each turn. In order to play your other cards, you'll have to spend supplies from your stock, which usually come from your resources. The supply cost of each card is indicated by the symbols on the left side. A number means that the card requires that many supplies of any color, while a symbol means that it requires a specific color of supplies. For example, Elven Sentinels requires 2 supplies to play, 1 green plus 1 more of any color. Tentacled Terror requires 6 supplies, 2 blue and 4 more of any color. Supplies don't carry over between steps of the turn, so make sure you don't expend extra resources or you'll lose the supplies that they generate. In addition to the 5 main card types, there are also super types that have additional rules that go with them. Quick. A quick card can be played outside of your normal build and rebuild steps. You can play quick cards at almost any time, and even preempt other players' actions with them. Basic. A basic card represents a very common dime-a-dozen version of something in the game world. Normally, a deck is limited to having 4 copies of the same card in it at once. Basic cards have no deck building limits, so you can put as many of them in your deck as you want. You'll see that most cards also have subtypes. These have no inherent rules to go with them, but they function as keywords to group similar themes or mechanics, and they can be referenced by other cards as well. The typical play area looks like this. Territories should be in front of your other cards, while resources will occupy the back row or be placed off to the side. Units and artifacts take up the space in the middle. Place your deck to one side, and the space above it will be your scrapyard. When you begin the game, shuffle your deck, then decide who will go first through some random method. Either flip a coin, roll a die, or something like that. Afterward, you'll draw 7 cards from your deck. Choose 2 of them to keep in your hand, and place the other 5 cards face down in front of your play area. Then refill your hand back up to 7 cards. The 5 face down cards are your starting territories, and count as 0-2 territories as long as they're face down. When one of these territories is destroyed, you'll add that card to your hand instead of putting it in the scrapyard like other destroyed cards. You'll start your turn by drawing a card. If you're the first player in the turn order, you'll skip this step on the first turn. Then you'll go to the refresh step and turn all your expended cards upright, then move on to the build step. In the build step, you can play 1 card from your hand as a resource, and you can expend resources to play cards normally. You can also use activated abilities of your cards in play. Next is combat, where you can launch an attack on your opponent's territories with refreshed units. To begin combat, expend each unit that you want to attack with and designate a territory for it to attack. Once you've declared all your attacks, the defending player may assign any of their refreshed units to block an attacker. Expended units can't block, and blocking with a unit does not cause it to expend. After blockers are declared, all units in combat deal damage. Attackers deal damage to blocking units equal to their strength, and vice versa. Unblocked attackers deal their damage to the assigned territory, and if the territory has any strength, it would also deal damage to its attackers. If any unit or territory has taken damage equal to their size or more, it is destroyed and goes to the scrapyard, or in the case of face-down territories, it gets added to its owner's hand. After combat is the rebuild step. This functions just like the build step from before. You can play cards and activate abilities, and if you didn't play a resource in your build step, you can play one now. Once you're done with the rebuild step, your turn ends. If any abilities trigger at the end of turn, they trigger first. Once they resolve, all damage is removed from units, as well as any effects that last until end of turn. The turn then passes to the next player. Each player takes turns going through these steps until they either lose all of their territories in play, or run out of cards in their deck, at which point they lose.